So I asked on both YouTube and Twitter if anyone had any questions for a potential AMA video that I was planning on making, and I got a number of responses. Now, if I sound at all pissed off here, that's because I already recorded this entire video once, and it was great. Then I got a Windows update while I was asleep, and it restarted my entire computer, and when I woke up, the recording was just completely gone. They shut down Audacity without even asking. It didn't save the project file, and now I have to do the whole thing again. So thank you, Microsoft. Thank you for doing this just for me. I just can't thank you enough. In any case, I will now answer those questions, because that's how it works. That's how questions work. Mace Yoshiman asks, "Love your content, man. I think your channel is highly underrated. Thank you, Yoshiman." Here's my question. What/who is your inspiration for making YouTube videos? Inspiration comes from a lot of places. The most obvious one is Donkey. If you see my more joke-centric videos, it's fairly derivative, and that's not something I try to hide. I do sometimes wonder if I'm too similar at times, but a lot of people seem to enjoy it. Not everybody, but you know, that's cool. But on a side note, I've never played League in my life, which means I was done with League before Donkey was, which means he's copying me, and all Donkey copies are actually Phantom Bane copies. Fact. Other sources of inspiration include the angry video game nerd, who is actually a personal hero of mine. I've actually met James Rolfe in person. He signed my Atari 2600 Junior. As cool as that experience was, though, that ended up being kind of embarrassing, an embarrassing story, which I may discuss at a later date, but for now I'll hold off on it. Some lesser influencers would be Yuri of Wind, who is just adorably sarcastic, and Jontron, who's just adorable. When forming your own style, you tend to take bits and pieces from several sources while adding in your own spice to it, until it becomes this bizarrely unique Frankenstein monster. And that's how art is made. Okay, Lupin the Third asks a shitload of questions. Okay, here we go. Have you played A Link to the Past? Yes, I have. I actually own a boxed copy for the Super Nintendo. I didn't get very far into it, but I have played it. I must confess, having Ocarina and Majora as my first Zelda titles, I developed an affinity for the 3D games, and I kinda ignored the 2D ones for a long time, but I do planning on getting through all of them. Do you think Melee is the best Smash? Yeah, I'm gonna skip this one. Do you plan on doing a Super Mario and Planet Stardust's Rampage review? Well, no, I wasn't, because I had no idea that that thing even existed, but I guess I gotta do it now. But that's gonna have to wait until my Super Mario Fantasy 64 review is finished. What's your favorite Wii U game? To be completely honest, I didn't get a lot of time with the Wii U. I did play some Breath of the Wild, and that was pretty great, but other than that, I really don't have a lot to say about that. It's definitely not Color Splash, though. Get that shit in the garbage. What province or territory were you born in? Ontario. Also, my credit card number is 5735. Daniel EDC asks, how did you find out about ROM hacks? Now, that actually happened through a YouTuber called Blue Blazing Demon. He was a Let's Player. I was following him because he was the only person for a long time who had a full Earthworm Jim 3D Let's Play completed. One day he starts this Let's Play called Super Mario 74. I had no idea what it was, but he explained it was a ROM hack for Mario 64, which basically blew my mind. I had no clue such a thing was even technically possible. So pretty much halfway through the video, I just paused it. I did the whole thing where you patch the ROM with the hack, and I just started playing it, and the rest was history. I didn't even know that it was a big thing that people were doing until I stumbled upon Mario Star Road years later. And then later still, it occurred to me to start reviewing them, as I didn't see many others doing that. And now we come to today, where it's taking weeks to get my Mario Fantasy 64 review out. Just give it time, have patience. You may need to apply several layers of Flex Seal if it's not blocking the hole or whatever. I Feel Nothing asks, have you seen the new release of the SM64 DS hack Super Mario The New Beginning? No, I haven't. Let's see here. Large-scale DS hack? Oof, I don't know about that one. But apparently Skilux has an analog patch for it. Maybe it's worth a shot then. Keep it up. Don't smoke any more eggs. Thank you for the advice. I will try. Hi Dan. Is Elon Musk related to Chad Muska? I'm pretty sure they are related, but neither of them have responded to me so far, so it's officially kind of up in the air still. Snipman asks, anything? Yeah, that was my question. Now, did you know pickles oscillate? No. No, I didn't know that. SSJ3 Roshi, SS Jiroshi? Is the 3 supposed to be an E? I don't know. Anyway, how big is your penis? It's for school, I promise. That's a trick question. It's modular, so it can technically be any size at any time I want. I'm not using it right this second, so I currently have the stealth module on, which is roughly 3 inches, but I'll bust out the 9-incher when they announce Earthworm Jim 4D. Maple Flip, hi Maple. What is your favorite Kirby game, and why is it Mario and Luigi Sonic's Awakening for the Soulja Boy handheld? Well, you see, Maple-chan, when a paisano puts his spaghetti noodle in a Mamma Mia's ravioli, a little bambino covered in prosciutto comes out 9 months later, and that's why Mario and Luigi, Sonic's Awakening for the Soulja Boy handheld is my favorite Kirby game. But the next runner-up would have to definitely be Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards. I love this one because it has that unique feature where Kirby can combine 2 abilities into 1, which creates an amazing super ability. It's also got those fun parts where you play as DDD and break walls with the hammer. At the same time, it's also one of the trickier Kirbys in my experience. Not that Kirby is a particularly different series by any measure. Kirby is a beautiful franchise, always with an unrelentingly adorable exterior that's somehow hiding something very sinister beneath it. And I think Kirby 64's factory level is a great example of that. You got this adorable winter planet where everything is happy Christmas time, but then there's this fucking factory with animals and test tubes and evil death machines. Shit's scary. Cable in 2901 asks, did Beef Stew truly invent Beef Stew, or did Beef Stew invent Bookworm Adventures Deluxe, which invent Beef Stew? Yes. Alright, last question. This one's pretty loaded. Mallow Productions asks, why do you subject yourself to the torture that is YouTube? That is a really good question. Initially, I was going to do a joke answer for this, but I want to be real for a bit. Honestly, what it really comes down to is the fact that year after year, YouTube has been my go-to place for entertainment, and I like entertaining people myself. I always found it gratifying, even though this website is horribly mismanaged, appears to be a wasteland of clickbait and disingenuity, and is seemingly somehow getting worse every single day. The fact is that it's also home to some really funny and genuine people. When I first started regularly watching YouTube way back in the old days, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was surrounded by people who I couldn't relate to in any way, which led to a lot of social isolation. Meanwhile, on YouTube, there's these chill guys talking about my favorite video games. They weren't being arrogant or patronizing or up their own asses like the people on TV. They were just these friendly people who just played video games and sometimes bitched about dumb little menial things in their lives. They were like friends, kind of. The only time you'd ever hear about video games on TV would be when they could blame it for murder or obesity or whatever else was almost definitely caused by other things. Then you got the guys on YouTube who actually know what they're talking about, and they're just there to have a good time. They weren't going to tell you to stop playing those games or stop listening to that music. They were just having fun. Back then, I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere except YouTube. Those people were my people. They were always there when I was pissed off or upset, which was pretty much every single day, mind you. I could just turn on YouTube and they would make me forget about how miserable I was. Just the fact that there were people out there that were as passionate about video games as I was immensely comforting, and even though I would never meet them, there were times where they seemed like the closest things I had to friends. And while I'm much better off in that respect these days, there are other people out there that aren't so fortunate. Maybe they have social anxiety that's somehow even worse than mine. In a lot of cases, I can never know. And if there was even a chance that I could provide those people with the same comfort that I found through those YouTubers, I would damn well do that. Because the feeling of loneliness and like there's no one else like you is absolutely horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's kind of like that Robin Williams quote, "The saddest people try their best to make others happy because they know what it's like to feel worthless and they don't want anyone else to feel that way." Now, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm one of the saddest people on earth, but I think the sentiment is similar, and I absolutely don't want people to feel like that. And that's why I want to stick around. YouTube is not likely to be a full-time job for me anytime soon, but because I want to entertain people, I'm just going to be here until either I die or YouTube dies. And even though 1,284 subscribers is modest at best, I never thought I'd get this far, and that is amazing. And that is why I subject myself to the torture that is YouTube, and why I will continue to do so indefinitely.